It takes 43 muscles to frown, 17 to smile, but it only takes 3 for proper trigger squeeze. In today's speech, I will be informing you on gun safety. Have you ever seen a gun laying around? Would you know what to wear to a range? What should you use for proper protection? How do you know that a gun is unloaded? These are a few questions that I hope you leave with answers to today. I have been to the range countless times for countless hours with my father and a shooting coach. In today's speech, I plan to discuss 3 elements of gun safety to include Cooper's 4 rules, proper apparel, and operation of a gun. To start, I have Cooper's 4 rules. Rule number 1 states, all guns are always loaded. These rules are from itstactical.com. All guns are always loaded. The only exception to this occurs when one has a weapon in his hand and has personally unloaded it for checking. But as soon as he puts it down, rule number 1 applies again. This is arguably the most important, but also easiest to forget rule for even the most experienced shooters. It is very easy to get caught up in the moment and forget to check your chamber for a bullet. Rule number 2, never let the muzzle cover anything you are not prepared to destroy. Pretty self-explanatory. You may not wish to destroy it, but you must be clear in your mind that you are quite ready to if you let the muzzle cover the target. To allow a firearm to point at a human being is a deadly threat and should always be treated as such. Rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger till your sights are on the target. This is the golden rule. It is easy to violate, but it is also responsible for 80% of the firearm disasters that occur in America today. Until you have sighted your target, and until you are ready to shoot, do not put your finger on the trigger. Rule number 4 is to be sure of your target. You never shoot at anything until you have positively identified. You never fire at a shadow or a sound or a suspected presence. You shoot only when you are absolutely sure what you are shooting at and what is beyond it. Make sure when you are shooting that you check behind the target. Don't just shoot blindly. Know what you're shooting at and know what's behind it. If you're at a range, know it's downrange. Make sure there is no one on the range that could potentially get hit. Now that we have discussed Cooper's 4 rules, let's talk about PPEs. PPEs stand for Personal Protective Equipment. According to NRA.org, there are several kinds of protection. Eye protection, which could be normal everyday glasses, safety goggles, anything in that sort, anything that's going to cover your eyes. They protect your eyes from ricochets, from dirt and debris. They basically protect your eyes. For instance, let's say you're shooting and one of the casings ricochets back. If it hits your body, it's probably not going to injure you. It may sting a little, but it's really not going to hurt you. If for some reason you weren't wearing your safety goggles and the casings ricocheted back into your eye, you could potentially be blind or have an eye injury at that point. Ear protection is another big one. Guns are very loud. So you want to make sure that you either have the big earmuffs or little earplugs or both of them on together. Is going to reduce the noise, especially if you're in an enclosed range. It's a lot louder and could cause hearing damage. Proper clothing. When you go to a range, you really don't think about, what do I wear? You might go in flip-flops or a t-shirt or shorts, but you have to think about the ricocheting, and the casings are actually very hot when they come out of the gun. So it's preferred that you wear closed-toed shoes, pants, either a long sleeve shirt or a jacket, along with all of your other PPEs, personal protective equipment. For example, if you were out shooting and one of the casings came back at you and you were wearing flip-flops and it landed on your foot, more than likely it's going to burn and hurt. But if you're wearing closed-toed shoes, it would hit the tops of the shoes and not your bare skin. There's also accessories. The only one that I could really find or had any relevance was a holster that would sit on your hip. I chose this one because it's actually kind of like a PPE because it covers the trigger, which protects you or someone else from pulling the trigger. The proper holster is one that you can grab with one hand. Now that we have talked about the 4 rules of gun safety and PPEs, let's talk a little bit about how to use a gun, how to fire a gun. So most firearms store rounds in a magazine. Ammo is usually stored inside the pistol's grip. This is 99% of the time, stated by wellarmedwomen.com. You're going to start by loading your magazine with rounds or bullets, and then you're going to slide the magazine into the grip, and at this point you're going to need to load a round into the chamber. So to load a round into the chamber, you're going to slide back the slide and release it. At this point, your gun is now loaded. It is hot and ready to fire. But there is one more protection mechanism in place. This is called a safety. The safety feature is there to keep you from accidentally firing your gun in case you do mess up on one of the 4 rules and you put your finger on the trigger and you're not ready to shoot at the object or someone is in the way. But after you have gone through your 4 rules, you can now release your safety. Shooting guns can be a fun hobby or a great stress relief, but it can also save a life. I hope you have learned a few things about gun safety and can put them to use in your next range visit.